Hello, children. I wish you are all happy and safe and following online classes. Today, I am going to explain some important MCQ from the chapters Chemistry in Everyday Life and Biomolecules. Which of the following statements is not correct? Some antiseptics can be added to soaps. Dilute solutions of some disinfectants can be used as antiseptic. Both the statements are correct. Disinfectants are antimicrobial drugs. That is also correct. Antiseptic medicines can be ingested. That is wrong. Which is the correct statement about birth control pills? Anti-fertility drugs. They contain estrogen only. They contain progesterone only. They contain a mixture of estrogen and progesterone derivatives. So anti-fertility drugs, nothing but birth control pills, they are containing the mixture of estrogen and derivatives of progesterone. So option C is correct. Since these are theoretical, just memory is required to get the correct answer. Which statement about aspirin is not true? Aspirin is painkiller. Regarding aspirin, which is not correct, you have to find out. Wrong statement is the correct answer here. So this type of questions are a little bit confusion. So you have to take care. Not correct. Wrong statement is the correct answer for this question. Aspirin belongs to narcotic analgesics. So analgesics, painkillers, pain relievers. These are two types: addictive analgesics, non-addictive. So aspirin is non-addictive analgesic, painkiller. Morphine, codeine, heroin, such type of analgesics are addictive. So aspirin belongs to narcotic analgesics. Next one, it is effective in relieving pain. It has anti-blood clotting action. That is also correct. That's why for heart patients, as first aid, aspirin is given. The blood thinner, it will increase the blood flow. That's why as first aid, aspirin tablet is given to the heart patients. It is a neurologically active drug. Statement is correct. So aspirin is non-narcotic analgesic. It is not addictive analgesic. That's why the statement given A is aspirin belongs to narcotic analgesic. That is wrong statement. So for us, wrong statement only correct answer. So correct answer here is A. The most useful classification of drugs for medical chemists on the basis of chemical structure, on the basis of drug action, on the basis of molecular targets, on the basis of pharmacological effect. So the best method for the classification of drugs by medicinal chemists, because they should know the tablet should working on which target. So the best method is this one, on the basis of molecular targets. That is the correct option. Right. Next one. Which of the following statements is correct? Some tranquilizers function by inhibiting enzymes which catalyze the degradation of noradrenaline. Some tranquilizers function by inhibiting the enzymes which catalyze the degradation of noradrenaline. This statement is correct. Tranquilizers are narcotic drugs. That is wrong. Tranquilizers are chemical substances that do not affect the message transfer from nerve to receptor. This is wrong. Tranquilizers are chemical compounds that can relieve pain and fever. This is also wrong statement. So correct statement is A. Some tranquilizers function by inhibiting the enzymes which catalyze the degradation of noradrenaline. A is the correct option. Next one. Salvarsan is arsenic containing drug which was first used for the treatment of syphilis. So this is memory based question. Right. Next one. A narrow spectrum antibiotic is active against. See, broad spectrum antibiotics, narrow spectrum antibiotics, and limited spectrum antibiotics. There are three types. Antibiotics are the drugs which are produced from microorganisms, can work against another microorganism. Chemicals which are produced from microorganisms can kill other microorganisms. Such type of drugs are called antibiotics. So these antibiotics can work, some antibiotics can work on all types of bacteria, gram positive, gram negative, all types of bacteria. They are called broad spectrum antibiotics. There are some antibiotics, they work against only one type, either gram positive bacteria or gram negative bacteria. Such type of antibiotics are called narrow spectrum antibiotics. There are few antibiotics, they can work against one particular bacteria only. They are called limited spectrum antibiotics. So here a narrow spectrum antibiotics is active against gram positive or gram negative bacteria. That is the correct statement. Gram negative bacteria only, that is wrong, because it may work against gram negative or gram positive. So this statement is wrong. Single organism, this is wrong. Both gram positive and gram negative. If it works towards both gram positive and gram negative, it becomes broad spectrum antibiotics. That's why D statement also wrong. So correct answer is A. Next, the compound that causes general antidepressant action on the central nervous system belongs to the class of. They are nothing but tranquilizers. So tranquilizers can decrease the depression, mental tension. The compound that causes general antidepressant action and works on central nervous, CNS, central nervous system, are nothing but tranquilizers. So answer is B. Next one. Compound which is added to soap to impart antiseptic properties. Soap is nothing but sodium salt of higher carboxylic acids, sodium carboxylate. At the same time, many types of soaps are there, but in bathing soap, some antiseptic, the chemicals which are having antiseptic properties also added. That is nothing but bithionol. In every soap, bithionol is compulsory, that works against microorganisms, antiseptic nature because of bithionol. So answer is D. Next, Equanil is artificial sweetener. That is wrong statement. Tranquilizer. Equanil is a tranquilizer. Next, this is antihistamine, wrong statement. Anti-fertility drug, wrong statement. So correct answer is B. Next, general formula for carbohydrates. So carbohydrates have the general formula CnH2O taken M. Hydrates of carbon, whenever H2O is present, that is the compound is called hydrate. Hydrates of carbon, they are commonly called carbohydrates. Here N may be equal to M, N may not be equal to M. This is a general formula of carbohydrates. So here Cx in place of Nx is given, in place of Ym is given. So Cx H2O taken Y is the correct option. Next one. Which one is a disaccharide? Glucose, we know monosaccharide. So this is not correct answer. Fructose is a monosaccharide. Ribose is monosaccharide. Sucrose we know disaccharide. C12 H22O11. On hydrolysis, in the presence of enzyme or an acid, it undergoes decomposition to give two monosaccharides. That's why sucrose is a disaccharide. Answer is D. Next one. The substance that forms the plant cell wall. Cell wall is made up of cellulose, we know. Sucrose is wrong, vitamins wrong, starch is wrong. So cell wall is made up of cellulose for plant cells, not for animal cells. That is the difference between animal cell and plant cell. So answer is A. Next one. The primary structure of a protein. The structure of protein is complicated. The structure of protein is studied in 4 levels, 4 stages. Primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure, and quaternary structure. Primary structure indicates the sequence of amino acids. This is important to bring about the transfer of properties from one generation to another generation. The sequence of amino acids in proteins is important. So primary structure of protein indicates the sequence of amino acids present in a protein. So first option, overall folding the polypeptide chain, that is wrong statement. Spatial arrangement of subunits in polypeptide chain, that is wrong statement. Actually that is quaternary structure. Sequence of amino acids, this is correct statement. So correct answer is C. Next one. Proteins are hydrolyzed by enzymes into, see, because proteins are made up of amino acids, monomers present in a polymer of protein are nothing but amino acids. That's why when proteins are subjected to hydrolysis, either in the presence of acid or in the presence of enzymes, we can get amino acids. So answer is C. Next one. Denaturation of protein. When proteins are heated to high temperature, or pH of the protein is changed, or certain impurities like detergents are added to protein, the protein loses its nature. That process is called denaturation of proteins. Protein loses its nature. During the denaturation, primary structure remains same, but secondary structure and tertiary structure are removed. During the denaturation of protein, secondary and tertiary structures are removed. Primary structure remains constant. So now coming to the question, denaturation of protein disturbs the primary structure only, that is wrong statement. Disturbs the secondary and tertiary structures only, that is correct statement. So disturbs all the primary, secondary, this is wrong statement. Will not affect the original biological activity, this is also wrong statement. So correct statement is B. Next one. Which of the following is an amino acid? The compound which contains two functional groups, amino NH2 and acid COOH. Here NH2 is the substituent, COOH is the functional group. So the compound which contains NH2 as well as COOH is called amino acid. Such type of compound we can observe only in option D. Yes, this is option D. Next one. A nucleotide consists. DNA and RNA, these are made up of nucleotides. DNA is a double helical strand, double helical structure. Each strand is made up of number of nucleotides. So DNA is considered a polynucleotide in which any consecutive two polynucleotides are connected with one another through phosphodiester link. With the help of phosphodiester link, nucleotides monomers get connected to give polynucleotide, polymer of nucleotides, that is called nucleic acids, DNA or RNA. That's why nucleotide is made up of nitrogen base, purine or pyrimidine. Next, sugar moiety, ribose sugar or 2-deoxyribose sugar. At the same time, phosphate. If these three are connected each other, that is known as nucleotide. So now correct answer, base and sugar only wrong, base and phosphate is wrong, sugar and phosphate wrong, base, sugar and phosphate, this is correct. So correct answer is D. Next one, vitamin A is present in, this is memory based, cod liver oil, carrot, milk. See, in all these where vitamin A is present, that's why correct answer is this. Whenever D is all, you have to take care. Generally 50% chances will be there for the D option to become correct answer whenever all is there. So vitamin A is present in cod liver oil, carrot oil, milk oil. So don't tick the answer A only after seeing the answer A. You have to check B, C and also D. So now correct answer is D. In DNA, the complementary bases are nitrogen bases, purines and pyrimidines, two types, purines, pyrimidines. Purines are two, A and G, adenine, guanine. Pyrimidines are three types, cytosine, uracil and thymine. In DNA, one nitrogen base is absent, that is uracil. Whereas in RNA, thymine is absent. That's why, so wherever the DNA, the complementary bases, so what are the complementary? Uracil, this is not present in DNA, no? So this is wrong statement. Next, B option, adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, this is correct. Uracil should not be there. So in the option C, uracil is there, that's why wrong statement. So correct answer is B. Glucose does not react with. Glucose does not react with. Glucose reacts with bromine water, hydroxylamine because aldehyde group is there. It undergoes reduction with hydrogen iodide in the presence of red phosphorus. So it reacts with all. It undergoes oxidation with bromine water. It reacts with hydroxylamine to give oxime. It undergoes reduction with hydrogen iodide in the presence of red phosphorus to give hexane and hexane. But it won't react with sodium bisulfite. That's why correct answer is D. Glucose does not react with sodium bisulfite. So correct answer D. Next one. Glucose on reaction with failing solution gives. Failing solution is nothing but alkaline cupric ions. Cupric ions. Cupric ions are reduced to cuprous ions by aldehydes. So cuprous ions get combined with oxygen forming cuprous oxide. Cuprous oxide Cu2O. Cuprous oxide is insoluble in water. So as soon as it is produced, it settles down as red color precipitate. So based on that we can recognize. So this is a test for the identification of glucose. Answer is cuprous oxide. Next one. The pKa1 and pKa2 of an amino acid are 2.3 and 9.7 respectively. This is 2.3, other one is 9.7. The isoelectric point of the amino acid. So just you combine both. The P isoelectric point is written by the formula pKa1 plus, when only two groups are there, NH2 and COH, when only two are there, that is neutral amino acid. This is applicable for neutral amino acids. There are two pKa values, pKa1 and pKa2. So average of those two pKa values is nothing but isoelectric point. So 2.3 plus 9.7 by 2. So answer is 9.7 plus 2.3, 10, 12. 12 by 2, 6. Answer is C. Next one. In the following structure, the number of anomeric carbons, only one anomeric carbon is there. So this is nothing but hemiacetal, cyclic hemiacetal. To identify hemiacetal, best method, carbon can have OH and OR groups like this. So at carbon 1, OH and OR, cyclic OR is there, that is anomeric carbon. By changing the orientation at this anomeric carbon, we can get alpha and beta isomers. Number of anomeric carbons 1, that is first carbon. Next one, there are 20 naturally occurring amino acids. The maximum number of tripeptides that can be obtained. So the formula to get the possible number of polypeptides, first you take the number of monomers available, 20. Then in each tripeptide, 3 amino acids are involved with 2 peptide bonds. So 20 power 3. 20 into 20 into 20. So 8,000. Answer is 8,000. Hydrolysis of sucrose with dilute aqueous sulfuric acid. In the presence of enzymes or in the presence of dilute acid, sucrose undergoes hydrolysis to give alpha D glucose and beta D fructose. Alpha D glucose and beta D fructose, because sucrose is made up of these two monosaccharides. That's why equal number. So when sucrose is subjected to hydrolysis, we can get 1:1 D glucose and D fructose. Answer is A. Next one. A codon has a sequence of A codon is a sequence of triplet of 3 nitrogen bases present in 3 consecutive nucleotides. So sequence of 3 nitrogen bases present in 3 nucleotides is nothing but a codon. So A indicates 3 bases, and each codon represents one genetic code, that is amino acid. It represents one amino acid. So B stands for codon specifies a particular amino acid. So B stands for amino acid. The amino acid has to be incorporated into proteins. So A indicates triplet of 3 nitrogen bases. Each codon represents one amino acid, that is genetic code. B is amino acid, and amino acids are incorporated into proteins. So correct combination out of 4. This is wrong. B, this is wrong. Yes, it's the word also wrong. Next 3 bases, protein, this is wrong. Here this is wrong. Now option D is correct because 3 bases. A is nothing but a sequence of 3 nitrogen bases. B is amino acid and C is protein. So correct answer is D. Next one. Which one of the following is not a biopolymer? Biopolymer means polymer which is naturally present in bioorganisms. Cellulose is a biopolymer. Insulin is a biopolymer. DNA also biopolymer. Naturally these are present in living organisms. But nylon 6 is not present in living organism. This is not naturally present in living organisms. So this is synthetic polymer. Nylon 6 is synthetic polymer. That's why here which is not a biopolymer means synthetic polymer. Answer is B. Next one. Which one of the following is a food preservative? Food preservatives to preserve the food from the oxidation, aerial oxidation. When food preservatives are added to prevent the spoilage of food. As an example, we can use sodium benzoate, C6H5COONA. This is acting as food preservative. Even sodium chloride also acts as food preservative. So out of these 4, correct answer is A. Okay students, with this I wanted to conclude. So in this way, from these chapters, memory based chapters, you have to do as many questions as possible. Okay, all the best.
Hello children, welcome to online classes. Today we will discuss objective questions from Basic Principles in Chemistry. Let us take the first question. Which of the following pairs of substances illustrate law of multiple proportions? Law of multiple proportions. To identify multiple proportions, there must be 2 or more than 2 compounds having 2 elements. So when 2 elements combine to form 2 or more compounds, such a way we can identify law of multiple proportions. So in option A we have 2 elements are there, C and O, forming 2 compounds, that is CO and CO2 are there. In option B we have 3 elements. Option C, there are altogether 3 elements are there. Option D also we have 3 elements. So option A is correct. So when 2 elements combine to form 2 or more compounds, then we can apply law of multiple proportion. So option is A. E is correct. In a chemical reaction, the total mass of reactants and products will be always equal. Nothing but direct consequence of law of conservation of mass. So total mass of reactants and products is not changed, is always constant. Law of conservation of mass. So option is C is correct. The percentage of nitrogen and oxygen in samples of NO obtained by different methods were found to be same. Different methods were found to be same. So percentage of N and O in the samples of NO by different methods. So different methods, the elements ratio is same, means nothing but constant proportions. Means whatever may be the source of compound, the percentage mass of the elements is same. It's nothing but law of constant proportions. The ratio of the elements in terms of mass remains same. That is a law of constant proportions. So option is A here. Then 2 samples of lead oxide were separately reduced to metallic lead by heating in a current of hydrogen. 2 samples of lead oxide were separately reduced to metallic lead by heating in a current of hydrogen. The weight of lead combining with a constant mass of oxygen, the weight of lead combining with the constant mass of oxygen from one oxide was half the weight of lead obtained from the other oxide. Two samples of lead oxide were separately reduced to metallic lead. So they have taken two samples of lead oxide separately reduced to metallic lead by heating in a current of hydrogen. The weight of lead combining with the constant mass of oxygen from one oxide was half the weight of lead obtained from other oxide. Half the weight of lead obtained from the other oxide here. Combining, so it is. So when you take again multiple proportions, there will be two elements in multiple proportions. Two elements combining with a constant weight of the other will be in a simple whole number ratio. When two elements combine to form compounds, weight of the one of the element which combines with the constant weight of the other will be always simple whole number ratio. That is a law of multiple proportions. There is a concept, that is a definition of law of multiple proportions. So answer is option C. C is the answer here. Then chemical reaction is balanced according to it will be law of conservation of mass, because total mass of reactants and that of products will be always same. It is nothing but law of conservation of mass. So option is C here now. Total number of atoms in one molecule represented by the compound copper sulfate pentahydrate. We need to just add all the number of atoms in this one now. So copper atom 1, sulfur 1, 4 oxygen atoms. Similarly, 5 into H2O means 5 into 3 altogether. Total number comes up to be 21 in this case now. Total number of atoms, just add the number of atoms in the molecule of the compound. So 21 is the answer. Then the number of molecules in 78 grams of benzene. Number of molecules in 78 grams of benzene. So number of molecules, first we need to find out the number of moles. So from mass we will find moles, and from moles we can find out molecules. From mass to moles we will be dividing mass by molar mass of the compound. It is mass by molar mass. Mass by molar mass into Avogadro's number, that gives us number of molecules. Mass by molar mass into Avogadro's number gives number of molecules. So here the mass is 78 grams. Molar mass also 78. Benzene molar mass 78. Into Avogadro's number 6.0, 10 to the power of 23 we have. So answer is option D. So mass to moles, moles to molecules. So to get moles, we are dividing mass by molar mass into Avogadro's number. So answer is D. Then next one. 1 liter of a gas at STP weighs 1.16 grams. The gas can be. So 1 liter of gas at STP weighs 1.16. The gas can be. Means we need to find out molar mass. From molar mass we can identify the gas. Here mass of 22.4 liters at STP, mass of 22.4 liters of gas will be equal to molar mass. Will be equal to molar mass of the gas. So mass of 22.4 liters of any gas at STP is always equal to its molar mass. Now here in the question they gave us 1 liter weighs 1.16. So 1 liter is weighing 1.16 grams. Therefore 22.4 liter weighs how much? So cross multiplying 22.4 into 1.16, which is equal to, it comes to nearly 25.9, or it can be taken as 26. So 26 is the molar mass of C2H2. So answer is 8. 26 is the molar mass of C2H6. So option is A we have. Then the mass of a molecule of water is mass of molecule of water. Mass of a molecule will be equal to molar mass of the substance, should be molar mass of substance divided by Avogadro's number. That gives mass of a molecule, which is equal to molar mass of what is 18 by Avogadro's number 6.0 into 10 to the power of 23. This comes to 3 into 10 to the power of minus 23. The value comes in grams. And the answers are given in kilograms. So therefore 3 into 10 to the power of minus 26 will be kilograms. So answer is option A. So A is the answer here. So mass of a molecule formula will be molar mass of the substance by Avogadro's number. So mass of molecule of water, so water molar mass 18 by Avogadro's number we have taken. Simplifying, we will get the answer. So option A is correct. Then 10th one. The value of 1 AMU. It's a direct question. 1 AMU is equal to 1.66 into 10 to the power of minus 24 grams. They are given in kilograms here. So 1.66 into 10 to the power of, it will be minus 27 kilograms we have now. So answer is option D. 1.66 10 to the power of minus 27 kilograms. So D is the answer here. Next. The number of molecules at STP in 1 ml of an ideal gas is number of molecules at STP in 1 ml of ideal gas. So volume is given as 1 ml. You need to find out number of molecules in that. So we should find out number of moles. So moles, that is when volume is given, moles will be equal to volume of the gas by 22.4. So from moles multiplying into Avogadro's number, you are going to get number of molecules. Therefore, molecules is equal to volume 1 by 22.4 into Avogadro's number 6 into 10 to the power of 23. The value comes out to be 2.69. The value comes closely 2.69 into 10 to the power of 19. So answer is option B we have. So to find out moles from volume divided by 22.4, that gives moles. Once you get moles, multiply into Avogadro's number. Option is B here. Then 12th one. Which one of the following pairs of gases contains same number of molecules? Which one of the following pairs of gases contains same number of molecules? If they have same number of moles, they will be having same number of molecules also. Means we need to find out number of moles in them. So option A if you take here. So 16 by 32, 14 by 28. So both of them are equal here. When you take option B, it is 8 by 32 and 22 by 44. So these two are not equal. And option C if you take 28 by 28, this is 22 by 44 here, again not equal. Option D 32 by 32 and it is 32 by 28. Again these two are not equal. So answer is option A. Both have half a mole. Half mole means half a mole of molecules itself. So answer is option A we have now. 16 by 32, 14 by 28. So A is the answer. Both have same number of molecules. Means both have same number of moles. 13th one. The volume occupied by 22 grams of CO2 at STP conditions. So they are asking us volume 22.4. Volume occupied by 22 grams of carbon dioxide. So first we are finding out number of moles. It will be moles into 22.4. Moles will be mass by molar mass. This gives moles into 22.4. This will be equal to 11.2 liters. So answer is B. So B, that is we found out moles dividing by molar mass and then multiplying it 22.4, we get the volume. Then 14th one. How many molecules are present in 1 gram of hydrogen? How many molecules are there in 1 gram of hydrogen? Again, we need to find out number of moles and multiply into Avogadro's number. So number of moles means that is molecules is equal to moles we should find out into Avogadro's number. So moles they gave 1 gram by 2 into Avogadro's number 6 into 10 to the power of 23. Means a half a mole of molecules we have. So option is B we get now. So answer is B in this case. Then 15th one. Largest number of molecules present in. Largest number of molecules. Again it means more number of moles. More number of moles means largest number of molecules only. So we need to find out number of moles in all the 4 options. So here 34 by 18. It is 28 by 44. It is 46 by 46 here. This here it is a 54 by 108. Largest number of moles we have. So largest number of moles, this is the largest value you have. So option is A. So A is the answer. So more number of moles means more number of molecules itself. So answer is A. Then 16th one. The number of moles in sodium oxide in 620 grams. Number of moles of sodium oxide in 620 grams. Mass is given. We need to find out number of moles. So moles is equal to mass by molar mass. Mass by molar mass, which is equal to mass is given as 620. Should find out molar mass of sodium oxide, that is Na2O molar mass. The value comes to 62. So divided by here 62 implies we get here 10 moles are there. So 10 moles, that is B. Answer is B. 16th one, answer B. Then 17th one. Number of molecules of CO2 present in 44 grams of carbon dioxide. Molecules in 44 grams of carbon dioxide. Again, we need to find out moles first. Multiply moles into Avogadro's number. So molecules is equal to moles into Avogadro's number. So moles means it is 44 divided by 44. Mass is 44 given by molar mass also 44 we have. Into Avogadro's number 6.0 into 10 to the power of 23. So answer is A. 6.0 10 to the power of 23. So for molecules is equal to moles into Avogadro's number. Moles is equal to mass by molar mass. So answer is A. Then mass of 0.1 mole of methane gas. Mass of 0.1 mole of methane gas. So mass will be equal to moles into molar mass. So mass is equal to moles into molar mass, which is equal to moles are 0.1, molar mass is 16. So answer is 1.6. So option A is correct. So mass is equal to moles into molar mass. So 1.6 answer. Then 19th one. Which has a maximum number of molecules among the following? Which has a maximum number of molecules among the following? Again we need to see maximum number of moles. More moles means more number of molecules. So 8 by 2, it is 64 by 64 here. 11 by 44 here. It is 48 by 48 here now. So the highest value is 8 by 2 in these cases. So answer is option A we have. So maximum number of molecules, nothing but maximum number of moles, mass by molar mass. So A is the answer. 20. The percentage of oxygen in sodium hydroxide. The percentage of oxygen in sodium hydroxide. The percentage of element formula is mass of the element by molar mass of the compound molar mass of the compound into 100, that gives percentage of the element in that, which is equal to mass of the element is 16, molar mass is 40 into 100. The value comes to 40. This one is equal to 40. So option is A. The answer. So mass of the percentage of the element means it should be equal to mass of the element by molar mass into 100. Then next one. The molecular formula of glucose is C6H12O6. The empirical formula weight of the compound is empirical formula weight. First we need to find out the empirical formula, then you can find out empirical formula weight. So empirical formula is the simplest ratio of the atoms of the elements which are present in the molecule of a compound. So given molecule is C6H12O6. So simplest ratio of this will be 1, 2 and 1 we have atoms. So CH2O is the empirical formula of the compound. CH2O is the empirical formula of the compound. So we need to find out the empirical formula weight. Empirical formula weight we have to find out. So therefore it comes to 30 because carbon is 12, 2 hydrogens 2, oxygen is 16 here. Total value comes up to 30. So answer is 30 now. So empirical formula is the simplest ratio of the atoms. Then we found out the empirical formula mass. So answer is 30. So 21, that is the answer. Then the two compounds which have same empirical formula are the two compounds which have same empirical formula. So ratio of the atoms must remain same. Let us take one by one. So here it is dividing by 2 means it is 1:2. You can divide by 4, 1:2 here. Here 1:2 here. It is 1:3 we have. 1:2, 1:1 we have. 1:2, 1:4 we have. So ratio remains same in both the cases is option A. Here both are having 1:2, 1:2 ratio. So both have same empirical formula. So answer is A. So A is the answer. Then a compound on analysis gave carbon 24 grams, hydrogen 4 grams, oxygen 32 grams. Its empirical formula is. Its empirical formula. So we need to find out the ratio of the moles of the elements. Ratio of the moles of the elements will give us nothing but ratio of the atoms present in it. That itself is an empirical formula. So ratio of the moles we are going to find out. So carbon is given as 24 grams. So 24 by 12 which is equal to 2 here. Then hydrogen moles are, it is 4 by 1 means 4 here. Then oxygen moles are 32 by 16 which is equal to 2 we have. These are the ratio of the moles of the atoms present means 2:4:2. Simplest ratio is 1:2, 2:1. Therefore empirical formula of the compound is equal to CH2O we have. CH2O is the empirical formula of the compound. So it is option D. So for 23rd one, D is the answer. Then empirical formula of the compound is a CH2O2, the probable molecular formula of the compound. The probable molecular formula. So empirical formula is given, we need to find out probable molecular formula. So molecular formula will be equal to some whole number multiples of empirical formula. So that is molecular formula. So empirical formula CH2O2 into some whole number n should give us molecular formula. So when you compare these options here, so this cannot be this first option, it cannot be. Second, both of them are same only. If you take the second option multiplying into 2 here because C2 is given, into 2 it comes out to be C2H4O4 will come. So it is not given there, so it is not correct here. If you do into 3 also, into 3 if you are doing here, it will be C3H6 and then O will come 6 here now. But they are given as O4 there. So therefore answer must be only B then now. It implies in this compound empirical formula became equal to molecular formula also. So molecular formula will be always equal to whole number multiples of empirical formula. So in this case, empirical formula and molecular formula became equal. So answer is B. So both are same. Then molarity of 4% weight by volume of sodium hydroxide. Molarity formula is, molarity is equal to excuse me, mass of solute, so mass of solute by molar mass of solute into 1000 by volume of solution in ml. This gives us molarity. They gave us 4%. 4% means we have 4 grams is present in 100 ml of solution. Therefore, mass of solute 4, molar mass 40 into 1000, the volume is 100 ml here, by 100 we have. So implies answer will be 1 then. So it is D option we have. D. So mass by molar mass into 1000 by volume. Answer is D. D is the answer. Number of moles of solute present in 2 liters of 0.5 molar NaOH. 2 liters 0.5 molar NaOH. Now number of moles is equal to number of moles is equal to, it will be molarity into volume should be taken in liters. That gives us number of moles. We require number of moles. Molarity is 0.5, volume is 2 liters. Is equal to molarity 0.5, volume is 2 liters. Means answer is again 1 in this case. 1 we have. So B answer. So number of moles is equal to molarity into volume in liters. So B is the answer. Then 27. 10 millimoles of solute is present in which of the following volume of 0.08 molar solution. 10 millimoles of solute is present in which of the following volume of 0.08 molar solution. So 10 millimoles is present in how much volume of solution having concentration of 0.08 molar. Now number of millimoles is equal to molarity into volume should be in ml. Volume should be in ml. Now here we require volume now. Volume in ml will be equal to number of millimoles by molarity. So millimoles are 10. Molarity is 0.08 we have. So 1000 by 8 will come. It comes out to be 125 then now. So answer is 125, option A. So number of millimoles is equal to molarity into volume in ml. So volume is equal to millimoles by molarity. So 10 by 0.08. 1000 by 8, 125. Answer is option A. So A is the answer. Molarity of pure water means water is present in water alone. So only pure water is taken. For this you can apply formula. Molarity is given as percentage into density into 10 by molar mass. By molar mass we have. Now percentage of water. Now when you take pure water, the percentage must be equal to 100. So therefore it will be 100 here. Density is 1 for water into 10. Molar mass of water is 18. So 1000 by 18, which is equal to 55.5, a constant value to remember. 55.5. So molarity of pure water, applying the formula percentage into density into 10 by molar mass. So percentage means the water percentage will be 100 because pure water only. So percentage of water is 100 in pure water. So 100 into 1 into 10 by 18 we get 55.5. Option is B here now. So B is the answer. Next, 3.42 grams of substance of molecular weight 342 is present in 250 grams of water. Molality of the solution is, molality they are asking us. They gave us the mass of the substance 3.42, molar mass of the substance 342, as well as the mass of solvent also in that. Now the formula of molality means small m is equal to mass of solute, so mass of solute by molar mass of solute by molar mass of solute into 1000 by, it will be mass of solvent. So mass of solvent, which is equal to mass of solute is given at 3.42, so 3.42 grams by molar mass 342, which is given here, into 250 grams of water, 1000 here, divided by 250 we have now, which is equal to, on calculation the value comes to 0.04 molar solution. So 3.42 is given as a mass of substance, 342 is a molecular mass of substance, 1000 by is given as 250 ml there. So 0.04 is the answer, option B. So B is the answer for this. Then W grams of salt of molecular mass 30 is dissolved in 250 grams of water. Molality of solution is 0.4. Then what is the value of W? W grams of salt of molecular mass 30 is dissolved in 250 grams of water. The molality of solution is 0.4. So molality is given to us. They gave us mass of solvent as well as the molar mass of the solute now. So what is the mass of solute? So now mass of solute is equal to, from molality formula also you can say, so mass of solute is equal to molality small m into molar mass of solute into molar mass of solute into mass of solvent into, it is mass of solvent by 1000. Solvent mass should be in grams, then only by 1000 comes, which is equal to, now molality is given as 0.4, molar mass is given as 30, and then 250 is the mass of solvent given to us by 1000, which is equal to, simplification gives answer 3. So 3 grams of solute we have. So 3 grams of solute of molar mass 30 in 250 grams will give molality of 0.4. So 30 is the answer. 3 is the answer here. Then 31. Rubidium has 2 isotopes, that is Rb85 and Rb87. Rb85 is 80% and Rb87 is 20%. What is the average atomic mass of rubidium? Average atomic mass of rubidium. So 2 isotopes of rubidium are given, that is Rb85, Rb87. They gave us the relative abundances percentage also, and what is the average atomic mass. So average atomic mass is given by, so average atomic mass can be taken as summation of atomic mass of isotope, summation of atomic mass of each isotope into its percentage. Now, summation of atomic mass of each isotope. Atomic mass here, atomic mass of isotope should be taken here. It is atomic mass of isotope into its percentage. Means, is it here 85 rubidium, isotopic mass 85 here, into its percentage is given as 80. So 80 by 100. Plus second isotope is given as 87 isotopic mass into its percentage, 20 is given to us. So this will be 68, this will be 17.4. Value comes to 85.4. 85.4 is option D. Option D is 85.4 you have. So remember the formula, it is isotopic mass, summation of isotopic mass into its percentage. That gives the average atomic mass of the element. So answer is 85.4. 32. The common isotopes of carbon 12 are carbon 12 and 13. The average mass of carbon is 12.05. What is the abundance of the C13 isotope? Abundance of C13 isotope. The formula again remains same as the previous one. What here percentage they are asking us. So let percentage say of C12 be X. Then percentage of C13 will be equal to 100 minus X then now. So percentage of C12 is X and that of 13 will be equal to 100 minus X. Then you can apply the same formula. The average mass is given as 12.05. So 12.05 is equal to, first isotope is C12. C12 into its isotopic mass, taken it as X here, percentage is X here, plus second isotopic mass is 13. 13 into its percentage 100 minus X by 100. So we need to find out the value of X then now. So cross multiplying, 1205 should be equal to 12X minus 13X plus 1300 you have. Simplifying this, finally you will be getting X is equal to 95. X is, we assume, the percentage of carbon 12. They are asking us percentage of C13 now. So C13 will be equal to 5% then now. So 5%. So answer is C option we have. So we assume that percentage of C12 as X we have taken, and therefore C13 will be equal to 100 minus X. 100 minus X. So percentage into its isotopic mass, that is 12 into X plus 13 into 100 minus X. By 100 gives average isotopic mass, which is 12.05. So simplifying further, we got the value of X as 95. 95 is the isotopic mass of carbon 12. Therefore, for 13 it will become 5 because 100 minus 95. So answer is option C we have. So option C. Then 33. Relative atomic masses of almost all the elements are fractional because of the fractional atomic mass is because of the existence of isotopes, because various isotopes are having various percentages in the nature. So we take average of them in terms of natural abundance. Hence we are going to get fractional values. So therefore relative atomic mass is because of the existence of the isotopes only. So allotropes not correct. Valencies of the elements of fractional values also not correct. The number of neutrons in atom is not whole number, also not correct. The natural existence of isotopes for almost all the elements we have. So answer is option D. So because of the existence of isotopes, the relative atomic mass of most of the elements is becoming a fractional value. So therefore here the answer is option D. Then the specific heat of element is 0.2. Approximate atomic mass is. The specific heat is given. It asks us approximate atomic mass we have. So approximate atomic mass is equal to atomic mass. Approximate atomic mass is given as a formula as 6.4 by specific heat. 6.4 by specific heat, which is equal to 6.4. The specific heat is given as 0.2. So 0.2 here. This will give rise to 32. So answer is 32, option C. Formula is 6.4 by specific heat we have. So 32. Then, which of the following has the largest number of atoms? Should find out the largest number of moles. From there we can find out largest number of atoms then now. Now here 0.5 gram atoms of hydrogen. Gram atoms means 1 gram atom means 1 mole. So 0.5 gram atoms means 0.5 moles. So this is 0.5 moles, first one. 0.5 moles of atoms only. Second one, 0.25 moles they gave directly. So 0.25 moles. And option C, 1 gram of oxygen. 1 gram of oxygen means find number of moles. So 1 by 16 moles of oxygen atoms are there. And option D, so mass is given as 0.635 grams divided by 63.5 is atomic mass of copper. So finally the highest value will be 0.5 moles here. So option is A is correct. So they are asking us largest number of atoms. We found out number of moles of atoms. Largest number of moles means largest number of atoms also. And for moles, we have taken mass by atomic mass. So for this answer is option A. Then 36. How much of 1 molar HCl would be needed to dissolve calcium carbonate which weighs 20 grams? So how much of 1 molar HCl is needed to dissolve CaCO3 of 20 grams? So mass of CaCO3 is given to us. We need to find out the how much of 1 molar means what is the volume of 1 molar solution we need to find out. Reaction between those two is calcium carbonate plus HCl giving rise to, it forms CaCl2 plus CO2 plus H2O. So on balancing you are going to get here 2 here. Now 1 mole requires 2 moles of HCl. 1 mole means 100 grams now. 100 grams requires 2 moles of HCl now. So mass of CaCO3 is taken as 20 grams now. So therefore 20 grams requires how much? So 20 into 2 by 100, the value comes to 0.4 moles we have. So 0.4 moles. So we require 0.4 moles of HCl is required. And the number of moles is equal to number of moles. Number of moles is equal to molarity into volume in liters. So number of moles which we got as 0.4 here. So this is 0.4 here. 0.4 moles is equal to molarity is 1 m. So 1 into volume in liters will come. So therefore volume is equal to 0.4 liters. 0.4 liters means they gave answer of in ml. So 0.4 into 1000. This comes to 400. So answer is option B, we have 400. So we have taken the equation, balanced it, and every 100 grams of CaCO3 requires 2 moles of HCl. They gave us 20 grams. So 20 grams requires how much? We got 0.4 moles. And then number of moles is equal to molarity into volume in liters. So 0.4 is equal to molarity is given as 1 here. So 1 into volume in liters. And we got here volume in liters here. So we got here V is 0.4 liters. So therefore 400 ml is the answer. 36 is option B we have. So option B, 36th one now. Then 37th one. In an experiment, 6 grams of CaCO3 on heating, 3.8 grams of CaO, 2.2 grams of CO2 are produced. The results are, in an experiment, 6 grams of CaCO3 on heating gave 3.8 grams of CO and 2.2 grams of carbon dioxide. When you take here total masses, so this CaCO3 dissociation gives rise to CaO plus CO2. CaCO3 they are given as 6 grams here. This is 3.8 grams here. This is 2.2 grams. So this total mass also comes to 6 now. So both the weights are same. Means total mass of reactants became equal to total mass of the products. It's nothing but law of conservation of mass. So law of conservation of mass. Only mass of reactants equal to mass of products. So option is A. So the answer is A in this case. Next. Two elements X and Y combine to form compounds A, B and C. Two elements X and Y combine to form compounds A, B and C. The ratio of different masses of Y which combine with the fixed mass of X in A, B, C are is 1:3:5. The ratio of different masses of Y which is combining with the fixed mass of X in ABC is 1:3:5. If 32 parts by mass of X combines with 84 parts by mass of Y, then in C 16 parts by mass of X combines with how much mass of Y? So ratio is 1:3:5. If 32 parts by mass of X combines with 84 parts by mass of Y, then in C 16 parts by mass of X combines with how many parts of Y? Now here the ratio of A is to B is to C is given in compounds X and then Y. Compounds are A, B and C. Ratio of Y is given as 1:3:5. So 1:3:5 is the ratio of the masses of Y in compounds A, B, C, which are combining the constant weight of the X we have now. Constant weight of X we have. Now if you take the ratio of the masses of Y, fixed mass of X is given. 32 parts by mass of X combines with 84 parts by Y in B. So if you take in B, in compound B, 32 parts of X, compound 32 parts of X is combining with 84 parts of Y. 84 parts of Y, and they gave us atomic mass of X as 16. So we will take 16 parts of X combines with how many parts of Y? It will be cross multiplying 84 into 16 by 32 we have, and this value comes out to be 42. This value is 42. Implies that 16 parts of X combines with 42 parts of Y in compound B. Now when you take the ratio of Y in B is to C, so B and C, if you take the ratio of Y here, it's given as 3:5 we have now. So the Y, number of parts of Y in B is 3, number of parts of Y in C is equal to 5. And we got here Y as 42. Implies that if 3 parts make 42, 5 parts will make how much? So if 3 parts, because they gave ratio of Y in the compounds B and C as 3:5 here now. And we got the value of Y as 42. 42 in B we got. So if 3 parts weighs 42, 5 parts weighs how much? So 3 parts is weighing 42 now. We have 5 parts in C. So 5 parts weighs how much? So 5 into 42 by 3 then now. So that value comes to 70 then now. That is option, here is C option we have. So what you have done is, they gave us a ratio as 1:3:5 for the ratio of Y, which is combined with the constant weight of the X. In compound B, 32 parts of X is combining with 84 parts of Y. And therefore 16 parts combines with how much? We found the value as 42. So now the ratio of Y in B and then C is 3:5. Implies 3 parts is a mass equal to 42. Therefore 5 parts mass is equal to how much? Cross multiplying, we got the value as 70. So answer is 70 here. Then 39. 2 compounds were analyzed. One contained 1.2 grams of carbon and 3.2 grams of oxygen, and the other contained 27.3% of carbon and 72.7% of oxygen. The experimental data is in accordance with. So there are 2 compounds analyzed, compounds of C and O analyzed. One compound contains 1.2 grams of carbon, other contains 3.2 grams of oxygen, and they are given percentages of C and O in other compound. Let us find the ratio of the masses of C and O. So ratio you are finding out. So ratio of mass of both the elements. Ratio of the mass of C by O will take now. In first one, 1.2 by 3.2 we have. This value nearly comes out to be 0.375. In second one, it is carbon is 27.3 by this is 72.7 here. 22.7. This also nearly the ratio comes out to be 0.375 now. So here ratio of carbon to oxygen in both the compounds is same. So ratio of the elements is same in both the compounds means nothing but law of constant proportions. We have law of constant proportions we have. So answer is B. Law of definite or constant proportions. Because the ratio of the elements is same in both the compounds. So law of definite or constant proportions. 39. Then which of the following pairs of compounds can use to illustrate law of multiple proportions? See, in the law of multiple proportions, there should be two elements forming two or more than two compounds. Two elements forming two or more than two compounds here. So if you see the options here, in first option there are more than two elements. Second also we have more than two elements are there. Third option we have two elements because PCl3 is there and PCl5 we have. We have only two elements P and Cl, but we have two compounds here now. So answer is option C then now. Here also we have more than two elements are there in option D also. So to identify multiple proportions, we need to see there should be only two elements. They must combine to form two or else more than two compounds. Then that can be understood as law of multiple proportions. So option is C here now. Then next one, 41st one. X liters of CO is present at STP. It is completely oxidized to carbon dioxide. The volume of CO2 formed is 5.6 liters. What is the value of X? X liters of CO is completely oxidized to CO2. The volume of CO2 is given as 5.6 liters. What is the value of X now? If you take the relation between those two, CO completely oxidized to carbon dioxide. You see this equation here, 1 liter will produce us 1 liter of carbon dioxide. So they gave us, we have 5.6 liters of CO2. This is now 5.6 liters then. Then what is the value of CO used? What is the value of CO used? It should be same 5.6 liters itself. Therefore answer is option C we have. Excuse me. C is the answer. Next. How many moles of sodium atoms correspond to 3.12 10 to the power of 21 atoms of sodium? So they are giving us number of atoms, ask us number of moles. So formula will be number of moles is equal to number of atoms divided by Avogadro's number, which is equal to 3.12 10 power 21 atoms are given by 6.02 10 to the power of 23 we have. So 0.05. 0.005 we have. So option is D we have. So D option 0.005. Then how many grams of carbon atoms react when 175 grams of C3H6O2 react? How many grams of carbon atoms react when 175 grams of C3H6O2 react? Now here one molecule contains 3 atoms of carbon. It implies that if you take one molecule, there are 3 atoms of carbon. The total molar mass of the compound, this comes to total molar mass of C3H6O2 is 74. So molar mass of that is C3H6O2 is 74. Molar mass is 74 now. So 1 mole of the compound contains 36 grams of carbon. So 1 mole of C3H6O2, it contains 36 grams of carbon because there are 3 atoms are there. So 3 into 12, 36 grams of carbon atoms we have. So 1 mole. 1 mole means 74 grams. So 74 grams contains 36 grams of carbon. We have 175 grams of the compound. So 175 grams contains how much? So it is 175 into 36 by 74 we have. This one calculation comes up to be 85.13. So this is equal to 85.13 we have. So answer is D we have. So 1 mole of compound contains 36 grams of carbon. So 175 grams contains how much? So 85.13. So answer is 85.13. Option D. Then two oxides of metal contain 50 and 40% of metal respectively. If the formula of one oxide is MO2, what is the formula of other oxide? So there are two oxides of metal and 50 and 40% of the metal is there in both the oxides here. So they gave the formula of one of the oxides as MO2. What is the formula of the second oxide we have? Let us take first of all in MO2. So in MO2, first compound, in MO2, 50 grams of metal is combining with 50 grams of oxygen, because they gave us 50% now. MO2 means there should be two atoms of oxygen, means 32 grams. So 32 grams of oxygen combines with how much mass of metal? It is also 32 then now. So 32 grams of metal you have. Implies atomic mass of the metal must be 32 then now. Because there are two atoms of element, we have only one atom of element here. We have taken 32 grams of oxygen, it should be only atom. So atomic mass is 32 for the metal. Now in second oxide, they are given 40% of metal is there. That implies 40 grams of metal combines with 60 grams of oxygen then. 60 gram oxygen we have. Now let us find out equivalent mass of the metal in second oxide. Equivalent mass means the mass of the metal which combines with 8 grams of oxygen. Therefore 8 grams of oxygen combines with how many grams of metal? So equivalent mass means the mass of the metal which combines with 8 grams of oxygen. Therefore here, so 8 into 40 by 60 we have. So 8 into 40 by 60. That is the equivalent mass of the metal. The value comes out to be 5.33. So 5.33 is the equivalent mass of the metal. This value is equivalent mass. Equivalent mass is equal to 5.33 we have. Now we need to find out what is the valency in the valency of metal in second compound. Now valency is equal to atomic mass by equivalent mass. Atomic mass by equivalent mass, which is equal to atomic mass 32, equivalent mass is 5.33. This value nearly comes out to be 6 now. The value is 6. Valence is equal to atomic mass by equivalent mass. The value is equal to 6 we have. Now we know the valency of metal, we know the valency of oxygen also. Therefore, crisscrossing we get the formula. So valency of metal is 6, oxygen is that of 2 here. So it will be M2O6, simple ratio will be MO3 then now. So answer is MO3 we have. So in first oxide, in MO2, from MO2 we found out the atomic mass of the element. 50 grams with 50 grams of oxygen we have. 32 grams combines with how much amount of metal? We got the value as 32 grams. 32 is now the atomic mass of the element we have, because MO2 we know the mass of O2. In second oxide they gave us 40%. Implies 40 grams of the metal combines with 60 grams of oxygen. We are trying to find out your equivalent mass. Equivalent mass means 8 grams of oxygen combines with how much mass of metal? We cross multiplied 40 into 8 by 60. So 40 into 8 by 60 here we got 5.33. 5.33 is the equivalent mass of the element we have. From equivalent mass we can find out the valency. Valency is equal to atomic mass by equivalent mass. 32 by 5.33. So we got valency as 6. Now we know the valency of the metal. We also know the valency of oxygen. Therefore M is 6 and O is 2. Crisscrossing we got M2O6 and simple formula is MO3 we have. So answer is MO3. Option B is correct here now. Then 44, option is B, MO3. Then 45. The crystalline salt Na2SO4XH2O on heating loses 27.95% of its weight. The formula of the crystalline salt is. Crystalline salt on heating loses 27.95% of its weight. So the loss in the weight is because of loss in the water molecules only. So they gave us a 27.95% by weight. Let us assume that the mass of the salt is 100 grams now. So 100 grams of salt is loses 100 grams of salt loses 27.95 grams water on heating now. So let us find what is the mass of anhydrous salt now. So mass of anhydrous salt will be equal to 100 minus 27.95. The value comes up to be 72.05. It is 72.05. This is the mass of anhydrous salt and this is the mass of water with which it is present. And the molar mass of the compound, molar mass of Na2SO4 will be equal to 142. So molar mass of is equal to 142. Now, if you take the 72.05 grams of salt is combining with 27.5 grams of water. Here 72.05 grams salt combining with 27.95 grams water. Therefore, 142 grams salt combines with how much? So 142 into 27.95 by 72.05. The value comes nearly 55.08. 55.08 we have. This much water, this much mass of water is there along with 142 grams of the salt. So now the number of moles of water, so 55.08, molar mass is 18 now. This value comes to nearly 3. And there are 3 moles of water molecules with 1 mole of anhydrous salt. The place formula must be 3H2O then now. Na2SO4 3H2O we have. So 100 grams of salt is losing 27.95 grams of water. So we require mass of anhydrous salt. We subtracted 100 minus 27.5. This gives 72.05 is mass of anhydrous salt. And molar mass of this salt Na2SO4 is 142. Now 72.05 grams of salt is combining with 27.95 grams of water and therefore 142 grams combines with how much? We got it as 55.08. Dividing by 18 we got number of moles of water per each mole of anhydrous salt. Implies option is B. Then, so B is the answer. So a compound contains 3 elements A, B and C. Oxidation numbers of A is +2, B is +5 and C is that of -2. The possible formula of the compound is, in any compound, summation of the oxidation states as per the coefficients must be equal to 0. So now let us take the formula. Formula is given as A3. It is given as A3. Sorry. Let us take option 1, A3, B, C4 taken twice. You have to work out option wise here. We are taking the first option now. A3, so means there are +2 implies, so it should be 3 into 2 plus, there are 2 items, so 2 into B is given as +5, there are 4 atoms of carbon, C is there, should be therefore +4 into, now state of C is given as -2 into -2 we have. We need to find out this, and this value comes out to be, this is 6 here, plus 2 into -3. So total is equal to 0. So implies option 1 itself is tallying with that. So that is the answer for us. Sum of the oxidation states in terms of the coefficient should be equal to 0. So answer is A. Then 47, percentage of oxygen in ammonium nitrate. Percentage, already we have done one question, the formula remains same. Percentage is equal to mass of the element, mass of element by molar mass of the compound, molar mass of the compound into 100. So mass of element is 48. Molar mass of ammonium nitrate comes to 80 into 100. This comes out to 60 then. 60%. Option is B. So mass of the element by molar mass. Mass of the element by molar mass into 100. Which is 60 we have. So B is the answer. 48. Total number of atoms in 0.52 moles of glucose. Total number of atoms in 0.52 moles of glucose. Now one molecule of glucose is C6H12O6. One molecule contains altogether 24 atoms are there. So one molecule contains 24 atoms. Implies 1 mole contains 24 moles. 24 moles of atoms. Means 24 into N, Avogadro's number. Now 0.52 moles contains how much? So therefore 0.52 moles contain. So 0.52 into 24 into Avogadro's number 6.02 into 10 to the power of 23. So the value comes out to be 75.16. Its value 75.16 10 to the power of 23 we have. So the answer is option C. Option C is the answer there. So one molecule contains 24 atoms. So 1 mole contains 24 moles of the atoms. So 0.52 mole contains how much? 0.52 into 24 into Avogadro's number. We have 75.16. 75.16. So answer is C. Then 49. Mass in grams present in 2.9 moles of ammonium carbonate. Mass in grams. So we require mass of the substance in grams we require. So mass is equal to moles into molar mass. That gives the mass of substance. Number of moles are given as 2.9. Molar mass of, we should take ammonium carbonate. The value is 96.11. So it comes out to be 278.7. So answer is option B we have. Moles into molar mass. Excuse me. So molar mass is 96.11. Number of moles are 2.9. So multiplying those two are going to get the answer. Answer is 278.7 grams we have. So option is B. Then empirical formula of the compound is CH. The molecular mass of the compound is 39. The molecular formula of the compound is. Now molar mass of the compound divided by empirical formula mass. The value is equal to, molar mass is given as 39. Empirical formula mass is CH comes to 13, which is equal to 3 then now. Now the molecular formula is equal to 3 into empirical formula, 3 into CH, which is equal to C3H3 then now. C3H3 is the answer. So molar mass by empirical formula mass 39 by 13 gives 3 here. So 3 into empirical formula gives C3H3. So answer is option B. So 50th one, answer is B we have.